Yeah, I mean, look, I have been worried about the Celtics' frontline depth since day one of this season. And the reason was, while Kristaps Porzingis raises this team's ceiling, he's got to be on the court.
Yep.
And guess what? He is better than he used to be about staying healthy, but he is still not on the court in consecutive games the way you would need him to during a 2-month playoff run. And we saw that. He didn't play last night. You know, he's only played 10 consecutive games this season. That's how many he's been able to put together. Only 16 consecutive games an entire of last season. So you know you are going to miss nights with him. And this team needs help there. And the Pacers took such good advantage of that. You could tell they were running plays for him for that spot. Rick Carlisle made some terrific halftime adjustments. And Tyrese Halliburton, man.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, he played lights out. This was such a coming out party for him.
Triple-double, and I'm, to your point...
First triple-double ever.
Ever. And I'm looking at the Celtics box score, and I'm looking at the bench production, and it's just pathetic because it's like, that's all you got?
I mean, look, it was an off night for some of their guys. Drew Holiday, who you and I are both huge fans of, did not have the best night, right? I mean, that's going to happen. And by the way, the Celtics, I think, look, it was a tough competitive game. You cannot say that Boston didn't compete. But clearly, especially if you listen to the quotes after the game, Boston was like, it was great. We didn't win. We're going to go do other stuff because they're looking toward June. And the Pacers are obviously looking toward this. This is their Super Bowl, this kind of tournament.
I'm just watching on TV, but the crowd in Indy was coming through my TV because they were so into it, like it was a playoff game or even better, a March Madness kind of game, like it had a college feel.
You know the vibe in Indiana basketball. I mean, those people are just waiting for something to cheer for. That building is incredible. That field house is so much fun. I loved seeing the energy there. And that's what this tournament is about, right? I mean, I don't think this tournament is changing the landscape of the NBA's position in the hierarchy, right? The NFL played last night, and even if it wasn't a marquee matchup, still did great ratings, right, compared to the NBA. This tournament is really for hardcore NBA fans. It's energizing the base, and it's giving teams and markets and fans, like in Indiana, something to cheer for because they're not going to make it to June.
Quick point on Tyrese Halliburton. Is he starting to at least enter MVP discussion?
Oh, yeah. He was starting to prior to this. Now he is in the conversation. We have our circles in the NBA, Skip, right? So the outer circle is, you know, maybe could be in the conversation. But when you get into that top 5 or 6, you are in the conversation. And Tyrese Halliburton put himself squarely in that last night. Now, he's not in the inner Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid circle.
All right.
But
he's got the funkiest three-point shot, but he made a bunch of them.
But it worked. He had a 4-point play that blew the game open with a minute and a half to go.
And I'm looking at the overall numbers he's averaging, and I know it's early, but he's 27, 4, and 12 assists a game, which leads the NBA. That will keep him in this discussion,
in the conversation.
Right?
He's in that circle.
Okay, let's go to the other game, the late game at Sacramento, where it felt like the crowd wasn't in it, maybe because the Pelicans took the crowd out of it. How impressed were you with what the Pelicans did to a very good home team? It's maybe the toughest place to play in the league, and they won by 10.
Yeah, no, I was very impressed with the Pelicans. They used their size, which I think is such an advantage for them. And look, Zion Williamson did not have the best game, but Brandon Ingram played really well. And that team has gone through an interesting metamorphosis. They struggled at a bunch of times this season. A couple weeks ago, they had a players-only team meeting for about an hour, and it was really about talking to each other. And Ingram and Zion came out of that saying, we got to basically become glued at the hip. They have become so much more efficient and fluid on the court. And so even when one of them has not the best night, that messages to the rest of the team, hey, we're on it, we're together. And that's what you saw last night. You saw the guys step up because they believe in those top two, even when, you know, Zion maybe wasn't Zion.
But as I watched, it felt like he was deferring to Brandon, who had the hottest hand, especially in mid-range. He was just deadly. I wonder if coming out of that meeting, Zion said, I'm going to try to be your guy. You know, I'm going to try to be joined at the hip on the court with you, as in when you got it going, I'll defer.
Yes,
right?
I think they definitely look at themselves coming out of that meeting as more of a tandem, a duo, as opposed to two guys playing on the court together. And you know, a big man in the NBA is not going to ever be your finisher. So Brandon Ingram is the one who's going to have that job.
Listen, when this team is healthy, as it seems to be at this moment, it feels like it could be a factor in the Western Conference.
Yes.
Like, would I be shocked if it won the West this year? I wouldn't be shocked.
I would be shocked, but I would. I mean, you still have teams like Denver around there. No, fantastic. But they got to stay healthy, and they have had the worst injury luck and health luck. I mean, C.J. McCollum's on his second collapsed lung.
And yet, Sacramento, I don't know if they took it quite as seriously as New Orleans, because they've graduated into the echelon of give us Golden State, give us the Lakers, and we'll get up for it at home, but really not the Pelicans. Fair?
Yeah, I think so. Look, again, I want to say all these teams last night were trying. You don't get to the quarterfinals of something like this without trying. They were all trying. They were good games. But you could see the difference between the teams that have not had that playoff success recently and knowing this was their taste of it. This was their shot.
All right. Tonight, here in Los Angeles, we got Suns at Lakers.
Yep.
Obviously, the Lakers got to this point by beating the Suns in their first game of group play, but there was no Devin Booker in that game. And so now what happens tonight?
Look, on paper, I would say, man, the Suns have a good chance of winning. Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, all the different parts of their team, but this is not on paper. And I got to tell you, LeBron James has made it known he wants to win this tournament. He has played like it. They have beaten opponents in these tournament games so far by an average of more than 18 points a game.
That is impressive.
He is playing at home. The novelty of this being the first one, of him being able to add one more thing to that resume, I think really resonates with him. They've all talked about the money a lot in that Lakers locker room. And look, you have a home game with him as long as Anthony Davis can be a regular Anthony Davis. He doesn't need to be exceptional. He needs to be a regular Anthony Davis. My money is always going to be on LeBron James. And I think he's also licking his lips a little bit after that Celtics loss. Because now you look at the rest of the field, right? Some of the teams that are going to possibly be a problem when you get to May and June, there's no Denver in there, right? And if they get past Phoenix tonight, there's not going to be Phoenix anymore. And so you look at no Warriors. So when you look at this field, you have, right, you've got the Pacers, you've got the Pelicans, maybe you've got the Bucks, but could have the Knicks. And then if the Lakers can win tonight, I don't know. LeBron James has got to like those odds. And when LeBron James' eyes light up, and it's just one night or two nights that he has to be 100,000% of LeBron James,
that's interesting.
My money is going to be on LeBron James. I wouldn't be shocked if the Suns won by any stretch.
But no Bradley Beal.
No Bradley Beal, but they haven't had him a lot this season, so.
Okay, but does Devin Booker make that big a difference? I think he does.
100%, because it's not just the points. I think what some people have missed this season is his playmaking has been exceptional. And that was one of the big questions we had going into the season, right? They weren't playing with the kind of point guard they had in the past. No Chris Paul anymore. And could Devin Booker really be able to fill that role of distributing? And he has been phenomenal at it.
Lakers are finally getting whole.
Healthy.
Because only Gabe Vincent is the only one who's still, and Darvin Ham keeps saying he's progressing. He's got a bad knee. I don't know the extent of it, but all of a sudden, if you got Jared Vanderbilt back and Rui is back and Cam Reddish is okay, I guess. So,
well, your guy Austin Reeves is going to have a big say in what happens tonight because if they can produce, if he can lead that bench to really produce, I think that is going to make a huge difference. And this is entering a crucial period for the Lakers, right? The trade deadline is now going to be, early in February, right? So you only have now about, 2 months to figure out who is your team? And do you have to really make a move? Because what they look like for the first couple months is maybe can't compete with the very top teams in the West. Still very good, but do we need to make some tweaks? And now they've got their team back. They kept saying, we got to wait for these role players to get back. Well, now they're back. Let's see. Do you got to make some tweaks or is this your squad?
Okay, so you are going to Las Vegas for these semis
going to
and the
Las Vegas,
final, okay?
yes, absolutely.
In gut feeling, it will come down to what?
If LeBron James is in this tournament, I think LeBron James wins this tournament. And we'll see tonight. And I think this is the biggest obstacle, frankly.
Would it be fair to say it would be Bucks Lakers? Is that the best guess?
Certainly could be. Again, I'm interested to see what happens when you have a team like you did in Indiana last night. When you have one team that is thinking about June, and you have one team in the Knicks to which it would be a huge deal for them to be competing in Las Vegas. And no matter what these guys do going into the game and how focused they are, and these guys are all competitors, they know the stakes. It's somewhere in their mind. And the stakes are not the same for Milwaukee as they are for the Knicks. So I think that could be more even than people expect. I think if the Bucks are in Las Vegas, then LeBron has more to worry about. But I do think he is looking at the field right now. And the favorite to win this going into last night was Boston. And they're not the favorite anymore. They're not going to be there.
You really know this stuff.
Been around the block,
You've been around. Oh. We'll welcome you back again.
After the tournament, exactly.
Okay. Up next, what should the NFL do about the Eagles' Big Dom cult hero? That's next.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show?
Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.